Marty McFly was a teenager in Hill Valley, California. He had big dreams of being a rock star but faced many struggles at home. His dad, George McFly, was timid and bullied by his supervisor, Biff Tannen. Marty's mom, Lorraine, seemed disappointed with her life and drank too much. His older brother Dave worked a dead-end job and his sister Linda had boy troubles. The McFly household was filled with quiet desperation. Marty often escaped to his garage to play his guitar, dreaming of a better life. The family car was a wreck, symbolizing their struggles. Marty yearned for something more, feeling destined for greatness. He worried about ending up like his parents, fueling his desire for change. Would he end up just like them? This was a question that haunted him daily. It fueled his desire for change. Marty often escaped to his garage. He would plug in his guitar and turn up the amplifier. Music was his only real escape. It was where he could forget about his family's problems. He dreamed of a different life, a better life. Marty McFly carried a heavy burden, fearing his own future. He saw his father, George, as weak and bullied by Biff Tannen. His mother, Lorraine, clung to a past that didn't match the present. Marty didn't want to settle or be unhappy like his parents. His principal, Mr. Strickland, called him a slacker, saying no McFly ever amounted to anything. Marty's band, the Pinheads, was his passion, but they were rejected from the school dance. Every failure pushed him closer to that dreaded McFly destiny. He had to find a way out and prove Strickland wrong. His future depended on it. Marty felt a strange pity for his dad. He also saw his mother, Lorraine. She often reminisced about her youth. She spoke of how she met George. According to her, George was this romantic, strong figure. But Marty saw no evidence of that man in his daily life. His mother seemed to cling to a past that didn't quite match the present. She seemed to have settled. Her lectures about propriety and making the right choices felt hollow. Marty felt she was unhappy with the way her life turned out. This made him deeply uneasy. He didn't want to settle. He didn't want to be unhappy. This fear was a powerful motivator. Amidst the gloom of his family life, Marty had one true friend, Dr. Emmett Brown. Doc was an eccentric inventor, often called a mad scientist. His house was a strange laboratory filled with bizarre contraptions. Marty admired Doc Brown, who treated him like an equal. Doc encouraged Marty's curiosity and believed in him. This friendship was a lifeline for Marty. Doc had been working on a secret project for years, pouring all his money into it. Marty knew it was something big and felt the excitement. One night, Doc called Marty with urgent news to meet at the Twin Pines Mall parking lot. Marty had no idea what Doc had created but knew it would be extraordinary. Doc was a visionary. He wasn't afraid to dream big. He wasn't afraid to fail. Doc treated Marty like an equal. He valued Marty's help in his lab. Marty would assist with experiments. He would run errands. He would listen to Doc's wild theories about science and time. Doc was a mentor to Marty. He encouraged Marty's curiosity. He believed in Marty, even when Marty doubted himself. This friendship was a lifeline for Marty. Marty arrived at the Twin Pines Mall, where Doc unveiled a DeLorean time machine. Doc demonstrated by sending his dog Einstein 1 minute into the future. The DeLorean vanished and reappeared, covered in ice, proving the time machine worked. Doc explained the flux capacitor and the need for 1.21 gigawatts of electricity supplied by plutonium. Suddenly, Libyan nationalists, from whom Doc had borrowed the plutonium, showed up and shot Doc. Marty escaped in the DeLorean, hitting 88 miles per hour and traveling back to 1955. Marty was stunned. A minute later, exactly as planned, the DeLorean reappeared. It was covered in ice. Einstein was perfectly fine. It worked. The time machine actually worked. Doc explained the science behind it. The flux capacitor. That's what made time travel possible. It needed 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. This power was supplied by plutonium. Doc had, shall we say, borrowed the plutonium from some Libyan nationalists. He had promised them a bomb. Instead, he built his time machine. Just as Doc was explaining all this, the Libyans showed up. They were furious. They had a machine gun. They started shooting. Doc was hit. He fell to the ground. Marty was horrified. Marty jumped into the DeLorean to escape. The Libyans chased him. He floored the accelerator. He glanced at the speedometer. It was climbing. 70, 80, 85, 88 miles per hour. There was another flash of light. The Libyans vanished. Marty was safe, or so he thought. He looked around. The Twin Pines Mall was gone. Marty McFly found himself in 1955, a world he only knew from old photographs and his parents' stories. Hill Valley looked completely different with classic cars, old-fashioned clothes, and different music. Marty was an outsider, his 1980s clothes and slang making him stick out. His first priority was to find the 1955 Doc Brown, his only hope of getting back to the future. Marty crashed the DeLorean into a barn, and the farmer thought it was a spaceship. He made his way into town and walked into Lou's Cafe trying to order a tab and a Pepsi free, but it was clear he was in a different era. Marty saw a young Biff Tannen harassing a young George McFly, his father. George was just as timid and awkward as in 1985. Marty instinctively tried to help, tripping Biff and allowing George to escape. Later, Marty saw George spying on a girl from a tree. The girl was Lorraine Baines, his mother. George fell from the tree and landed in the path of an oncoming car. Marty pushed George out of the way, getting hit by the car himself. He woke up in a dark room. A young woman was looking after him. It was Lorraine, his mother, but she didn't know who he was. She thought his name was Calvin Klein because of his underwear. And then, the unthinkable happened. Lorraine started to develop a crush on Marty. Not on George. This was a disaster. Marty had interfered with his parents' first meeting. He had altered the past. He had potentially erased his own existence. The photograph of him and his siblings started to fade. Marty was in serious trouble. His mother Lorraine had a crush on him, not George. His future was literally fading away. He had to make his parents fall in love or cease to exist. Marty found the 1955 Doc Brown, who was younger but just as eccentric. At first, Doc didn't believe Marty's story, but Marty knew things that convinced him. Doc was thrilled that his theories were correct. They had two problems: getting Marty's parents together and finding 1.21 gigawatts of power to send Marty back to 1985. Getting George and Lorraine together was harder than Marty imagined. George was incredibly shy and terrified of rejection. Lorraine was quite forward with Marty, thinking he was dreamy. Marty had to fend off his own mother's advances. He tried to coach George to be confident and ask Lorraine to the school dance. George was reluctant and scared of Biff, who also had his eyes on Lorraine. Marty devised a risky plan. He would pretend to make a move on Lorraine, and George would rescue her, making him look like a hero. The photograph was fading faster, and time was running out. The school dance was their last chance. Everything depended on that one night. Marty was in serious trouble. His mother, Lorraine, had a crush on him. This was not how his parents were supposed to meet. According to family legend, Lorraine was supposed to care for George after her father hit him with the car. That was how they fell in love. Now, Lorraine was infatuated with Calvin Klein. Marty's future was literally fading away. His hand in the photograph of his siblings was disappearing. He had to fix this. The night of the Enchantment Under the Sea dance arrived. Marty felt the pressure. His entire existence hinged on this night. Biff Tannen showed up, pulling Marty out of the car. Biff then got into the car with Lorraine and started harassing her. George arrived, saw Biff attacking Lorraine, and confronted him. Fueled by courage, George punched Biff, knocking him out cold. Lorraine was amazed. George had saved her. The plan to harness the lightning bolt was complex. Marty had to drive the DeLorean at precisely 88 miles per hour. At the exact moment, the lightning struck the clock tower. The DeLorean hit 88 miles per hour, and Marty vanished in a flash of light. He arrived back in 1985 at the Lone Pine Mall. Marty returned home and couldn't believe his eyes. His house was different, and his family was different. His own future felt brighter, and he even had the new truck he always wanted. Marty was enjoying his new and improved 1985 with his girlfriend Jennifer Parker. They were about to take his new truck for a spin, feeling a sense of accomplishment. Suddenly, the DeLorean appeared, looking even more futuristic with a Mr. Fusion device. Doc Brown burst out wearing strange silver sunglasses and colorful clothes, looking frantic. Doc exclaimed, "Marty, you've got to come back with me!" Marty was confused, asking, "Back where?" Doc replied, "Back to the future!" and started rummaging through Marty's trash cans for fuel. Doc explained that something was wrong with Marty and Jennifer's kids in the future. Marty and Jennifer were shocked as they weren't even married yet. Doc was insistent, saying, "It's your kids, Marty. Something has to be done about your kids." Jennifer was worried, but Doc urged them to get into the DeLorean as there was no time to lose. The future was at stake again. Marty, Jennifer, and Doc piled into the DeLorean, and Doc prepared it for takeoff. Doc said with a grin, "Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads." The DeLorean's wheels lifted off the ground and the car hovered in the air. It shot forward, flying towards the sky, and disappeared into the future, leaving a fiery trail behind. The adventure was far from over. It was just the beginning of a new, even wilder journey through time. Marty was enjoying his new and improved 1985. He was with his girlfriend, Jennifer Parker. They were about to take his new truck for a spin. Everything seemed perfect. He had saved his family. He had saved Doc. He had a cool truck. What more could a teenager ask for? He felt a sense of accomplishment.